Hello everybody, welcome back to Time Traveler's Coin Exchange. We're gonna work on episode 10 here of the Coin Vault has opened. Just get everything ready here. Let's see how we are focused. So I pulled out another box here. So we are pretty much ready to go. See if I can adjust here so that we don't have a glare, hopefully. But just gotta adjust it a little more. We can get, I feel like the coin is pretty clear, but we can, maybe the light just changed a little bit. Try one more time. Focus. Good morning. Hey guys, welcome back. Sorry, I tried to do that quickly. So this one just looks like it's got a little die crack on a little skull crack on his head. Nothing major going on. As normal, if we are seeing something interesting, I will put the coin aside and we will zoom in on them at the end. I'm not sure if we actually looked at the reverse of the back one. I think I was still in the mode of looking at the front of the coins. But we're going to be looking through another box. It looks like these are, I can see quite a few different dates. It looks like mainly late 50s. Looks like there is the die looks like it's probably a later stage. Had quite a few marks in the lettering here. But we're probably going to see some damaged coins today. We're probably going to see some cleaned coins today. Hopefully we will find some interesting coins with possibly, hopefully we'll find another RPM today. Looks like maybe a little tiny damage on the end of the wheat stalk there. I don't think it's anything. Hopefully you guys were able to get a cup of coffee or get something nice, get some food in you guys. I'm feeling ready to go through this box, and so far these coins in here aren't looking very impressive. They're definitely not looking MS. Looks like we've got a 1955 here. I'm thinking that maybe the little notch on the bottom of the one looked interesting to me, but maybe a very, very not what we are looking for. Most of these are looking like they're kind of like possibly AU, possibly brown, a little bit of carbon spots on this one. Seems like the most common thing that we are finding that is interesting is just little die chips in the wheat ears. This one looks like a poor man's. The 5 is just slightly doubled there. Looks like a very smooshed coin. This one looks super worn on the reverse. How's everybody doing today? You guys all get good sleeps? This one is looking kind of like a poor man's double die. Skull crack to go with it. like a pretty nice collection of poor man double dies, but while they do sell on eBay, they're not necessarily worth anything more than a normal 1955, except for the fact that people seem to find them cool. Grab some more. $1957p. Just it's kind of like the poor man's 1957. There's just like a slight impression that there is a second 7. It's just looks like a worn die, kind of die deterioration. When the die is striking, it's just having to smush things on there. I don't know if they increase when the die wears down, if they increase the pressure, or if everything is struck with the same amount of pressure. There's either a scratch or a crack on the head of this one. I feel like sometimes when I got like kind of like original like bank wrap rolls, or like just like a roll of like circulated, like slightly circulated 1955s, I felt like sometimes I got an entire roll of ones that were like poor man double dies. So they're not the same with the skull crack. I think I had an entire roll of BU skull cracks. I think I bought it that way, and you can definitely find them by the roll. I don't know, that was like 10, 20 years ago. I don't know if things have changed. I don't go through the uncertified coins the same way that I do on the certified coins on eBay. I don't go and look at every single raw coin listing. I just don't have the time. I feel like there's usually like 10, 20,000 auctions ending every day. Well, there's only like 100 certified coins ending every day. Here we've got a nicer example. It's like why the coin looks BU in person. It's like we can definitely see there is some slight wear to the coin. Lincoln has definitely suffered the most of it. The fields are rather nice, but the higher devices on the coin definitely seem to be where the coin got little nicks and damages, little scratches. I don't know, it's an interesting one. I'd say it's red-brown because the coat here is definitely kind of like a purpley brown color. My guess is this would be like a low grade, like 62. I feel like it would probably be like a MS62 red-brown, even though in person the coin looks super, super bright red. This one has a partially filled 9 or 8. The mint mark almost looks like there is a little something inside it. There almost looks like it's fat on the bottom. It almost looks like there's a little scratch on the top. I think we'll take a closer look at that one, see if there is anything interesting going on. Looks like there's a small nail mark or something on the reverse here. Interesting T. Almost looks like there's a little die chip on top. Perhaps it just got smushed. We'll take a closer look at that one as well. I'm guessing since there's some crud on it, this one looks like there is something to the northeast of the D. But I'd say it's worth taking a look at. I guess I should probably look at the reverse of this too before I just like, oh, we'll take a look at that. But I've been, depending on which side I'm seeing something on, I'm making two piles, so that if it's on the reverse, we can just go straight to the reverse, and I don't have to, once I'm zoomed in up close, we don't have to kind of take a look at the front and back. Some environmental damage on the reverse of this one. I think we'll take a closer look at this one as well. I just kind of see a shiny inside the D and inside the 6. It's funny how I can set up the camera in the exact same way, and sometimes it comes out better and sometimes it comes out worse. Hopefully we're just going to find something that just sticks out like this. Like, what is going on with that D? That one looks interesting to me. That was good timing. We'll put that one in its own pile. I feel like I want to adjust the camera here. It just, right, that's better with the glare. Although I feel like the date part of the coin is all fuzzy now. That's not better. It's like we got rid of the glare, but we lost the focus. Some interesting lighting issues today. What will we find? Will we find anything? I know that last one looked very interesting. This one's got kind of attractive red-brown. It's probably considered a brown. Does look like there's a couple marks on the D there. They looked more like scratches than anything else, but sometimes we just don't know until we really get up close. We've got an 1857p. It's kind of interesting. It seems like the focal, it either wants to go on the edges today, or it's wanting to go in the center. Looks like the 9 in there has got quite a few kind of lines going through it. seen anything there. I'd say the last box definitely had some interesting things in it. This one is pretty brown. It's actually really, the darker spots on this one are really dark. This one looks like the 7 has just been pressed really hard, kind of giving it that doubled appearance. Looks like a fingerprint on the reverse. There does look like there is a pretty good size die chip and the wheat ear here, so we'll take a look at that up close. It's looking like I could probably make an entire roll of just die chips. I'm not sure how much premium they actually have. Probably the bigger the die chip, the better. Looks like it's got a little extra piece of metal in between. It might just be some kind of debris. This one is like all the way kind of pushed up into the rim. You can see how the letters just kind of get distorted a little bit. Once again, it looks like the reverse is kind of pushed up on the right side. It's interesting how the left side doesn't really get distorted as much. It was quick. I had some banana and some chips and pounded some more coffee. Thanks for asking. I tried to get back here as quickly as I could. It had been kind of a quiet morning. I felt kind of bad. I was like, wait. And then I was like, wait, if things keep going here, it's going to be noon all of a sudden, and I'm going to once again skipped breakfast and lunch, which I am happy skipping a meal, but when I skip both, I usually end up just feeling kind of done for the day. It's not until dinner time I start to feel myself again. But we have hope. We definitely found an RPM last night, a pretty good looking one. And so I wasn't 100% fail rate putting stuff away years ago. So we definitely have hope of finding some cool things in here. And I did find kind of an angle that I'm able to get a little bit closer on the suspect coins. And so that's cool. We're able to get a little bit better vision. around in its flip. Looks like a poor man double die. Looks super, I guess this one has been circulated, but it just looks like everything is like kind of crushed. The reverse looks pretty circulated. We've got a couple dings on it. Kind of want to see what was going on to the right of that one, so we'll look at it, but I think it is just, I don't know, this one's kind of interesting. I feel like I can see a line inside the mint mark, and the bottom southwest corner is like super humped. I'm hoping we're just gonna get into like a box that is like just like Error City. Inside this one, it almost looks like there's a little line in the mint mark. We will just have to take a closer look. We're at least getting a lot of mint marks to take a look at. My belly's still growling. Hilarious. It wants more. I don't know. It's like I feel like it's weird. Like the camera, it's like it's either focusing on the date or it's focusing on Lincoln here, and I'm used to it being able to do both, and then we're also getting like a lot of glare on a lot of different angles. I think it's I think maybe the difference is yesterday I had everything set up and it was kind of like a cloudy, rainy day for the first time in a while, and today it actually looks like there is blue sky. This coin looks kind of cleaned, or at least damaged. That on the mint mark definitely looks like it got squished. I guess it won't hurt to check it out, but it looked like it just got deep red. Rim ding, I don't know, this one looks like it's been cleaned to me. I think the label says deep red. There's just like thousands and thousands of little nicks. The 6 on it is kind of interesting. The 6 has a little bit of doubling, but I'm sure it's probably just machine doubling. The reverse of this one looks cleaned as well. Beware of flips that tell you that the coin is special. The mint mark on this one looks interesting. I'm not seeing anything, but it doesn't look the way they normally form. It's always interesting how many coins get like a little dot like that. They always remind me of like the tip of a thumbtack or something like that. Here we've got one with actually a little bit of mint luster on it. It's looking pretty normal. A little bit of environmental damage on the front of it. A little bit of spotting on the reverse. All these coins that are just kind of like a low grade, like MS, I don't know, like it seems like most of these are kind of like ranging from like kind of extra fine to like a very, very low MS. I'm just not getting the angle that I'm hoping to get for the camera. Seems like we were fine. It's one of the problems with zooming in and out. Oh, you know what it is? Oh, never mind. The light was off. I was thinking, let me also center it up and down here. Maybe that's part of it. I'm kind of like rotating things on an angle. Having technical difficulties, folks. Don't attempt to stream before you drink your normal amount of coffee intake. Looks like a little bit of damage to the ear on the left side. Wow, the glare is just crazy. I'm gonna try one more time. If it doesn't go away, I think it's just the way the light is set up. It's like, look, like the mint mark is like gone. I don't think there's anything going on with that one. How is the glare for you guys? I mean, I can deal with it, but I try not to blind everybody who's watching. Is this the same? We found one like this in the beginning, and there's like a small little piece of metal. There's like a scratch, and then like a small little piece of metal underneath Lincoln's neck there. Almost looks like there's two of them, like little steps. We found one of these in the very beginning as well. It did look interesting close up. Kind of a poor man's double die. Once again, this one's got kind of that little tear underneath. Hey Kevin Hubbard, doing pretty good. We found a couple kind of interesting looking ones. We did find one that looks like an RPM last night, a 1954S. It was like a very clear separation or like doubling of the S on the top. After I go through these again, I still have it out, and I'll pull that one out at the end of this. But we found a couple interesting looking ones to look at for sure. I've been putting quite a few of them aside. I'm just wanting to also just check mint marks a little bit more clearly. Looks like we have a lot of ones with like cracks or scratches on the head. We're finding a lot of ones where there's just like a little raised doubling underneath the neck of Lincoln, which I don't know if that's a variety or what's going on with it. How's your morning going, Kevin? This one looks kind of cleaned to me. It just looks like it has quite a bit of wear on it, but it's trying to appear all red and beautiful. But I'm not believing it. This one's got some environmental damage or possibly some ink. Definitely looks like a poor man's double die. Definitely looks like a very, very worn out die. This one looks pretty worn out. Another poor man's double die. Pretty nice looking shadow 5 there. Guessing the back is probably pretty worn here. We've got some environmental damage, a little bit of paint. Grab some more. Excellent. I thought I was going to be doing a long early stream this morning, but I pretty much got up, got in the shower, and hit stream. This one's got that same little scratch underneath Lincoln's neck here. I guess it would be a die marker, but that one is just showing up on a lot of coins here. But I guess some of them were in 1955 and some of them were in 1957. So that's kind of interesting, but it looked like the 55s had like a raised up piece of metal right there. Like there's a scratch and then there is a additional piece of metal. Almost kind of reminds me of doubling, but I don't know if it was just a mistake. I mean, I guess if it was a mistake or an error, it's kind of like an error, but I don't think people are looking for that one. But we have found 2 examples of it, and they did look kind of interesting. And, we zoomed in up on the first one, and there was definitely just like extra metal. It was just raised up there. I feel like I can't remember what the dates were, but I feel like when I was reading Chuck's book, I believe it was in the 50s, but I feel like they were just like reusing dies like crazy. They were just making coins like crazy, and I can't remember. I feel like there was like a period of time where they were like kind of etching around like Lincoln's portrait to kind of like give the coin more depth again. And I'm not sure if that's what's going on with the shelf underneath. I'm not even sure if I'm in the right decade with that information. It's like a lot of the technical stuff, I feel like I just need to read it again and again and again until it sticks. Looks like we're having a little spat of 1958s here. Looks like it's going to continue for a little bit. So we're probably not going to find an RPM in a Philadelphia chunk, but it has seemed like the dates are all over the place here, so hopefully we'll get back into some other ones. Maybe we'll find a couple die chips or something. One looks like it probably had some cleaning on the reverse. It's just super bright there in the center and looks like it has a very scratchy surface, while the rest of it kind of looks just nice and smooth and original, but brown. We've got a little bit of environmental damage. Here we have that same scratch underneath Lincoln's chin, just going straight down, but this is a 1958. And so we've seen this in 55 and 57 and 58 now. Looks like a scratch across the wheat ears, some environmental damage. Because that's what we all want to see when looking at coins, right? We want to see like green corrosion. It's what we live for. A day without green corrosion is it's just not a day. I feel like there's just kind of like carbony spots around the date here, just kind of giving it extra thick shadows. The eye on this one looks a little bit flattened, perhaps it's a little bit doubled. Perhaps it's just a very, very worn die. Gonna adjust to a new box, because this one's pretty much full. Alright, I do see that we will have an end to the 1958 Ps here in a second. I'm not sure if it'll be in this stack, but it does look like I see another date showing on the end of the pile there. Looks like a little bit of green on this one. Nothing's jumping out at me. A little bit of green on this one. Now I'm wondering how many of these coins. I know when I put them away, if something looked like red and like it was like partially BU, I would put it away to save. Just because when I was going through like bags of unsearched wheat pennies, like most of them are brown and very, very worn. And so when I would come across coins that had some original luster, I feel like I would put them aside. When there was something interesting about the coin, I'd put them aside. But half of me is wondering how many of these coins actually showed green on them when I flipped them, and how many of these coins have turned green since. I do live in kind of a coastal area, so there is kind of salt water in the air, and I try to keep a nice temperate environment. I try to keep them in like a moderate temperature, kind of controlled environment. But I'm wondering how many of these coins have just kind of turned green. I'm wondering how many of them have reacted to being touched. I probably, because I was going through 5,000 count bags, it didn't really make sense to be wearing gloves. You know, like I think I had a pair of gloves if something just looked extraordinary in front of me, or it was just beaming bright red, or had like, you know, crazy rainbow colors on it. I'd put some gloves on and try to, you know, handle it carefully. But sometimes it was like, you know, picking up a handful of coins, looking at one at a time, just kind of, you know, have a handful of them and just keep moving one into the hand. I feel like I have the question now of how many of these coins that have kind of green corrosion on them, that are, you know, 40s and 50s, how many of these do I actually want to hold on to? It's like, you know, now it's like this one, I don't know, it's probably been cleaned. Like this one actually looked like a nice kind of bright one. It's just, it's got a very odd color to it. I think this one has been cleaned. I'd say it was one of the better cleaning jobs I've seen, and the aspect that the coin itself really is, it kind of like has a nice natural bright red color. Maybe it was just the reverse is. Like the reverse looks much more natural. But the front, it was extremely bright. But there was just something about, especially how the date is toned and stuff there. Maybe this one had some green on it that they were trying to get off. I know, it's like Lincoln himself looks shinier than the rest of the coin. I don't know. It's like I feel like maybe the leaves or the fields weren't cleaned, but I feel like it's like this one looks like it's been cleaned. The reverse looks like it's been cleaned. I feel like when someone asks me like what's a good example of a cleaned coin, this one right here, this is a great example of a cleaned coin. It's just, you know, so many scratches, and yet wants to appear like this light red color. Well, that coin would naturally be very brown, or very damaged by that point. This one seems to have a lot of kind of shiny luster right around the date. I believe it's just a light reflecting off of it there. I feel like this roll isn't giving us a ton. It seems like it's a lot of Philadelphia mints, which is not giving us many RPMs, but I mean, we're not just looking for RPMs, we're looking for anything interesting on these coins. And I feel like if we were able to find some of these in a higher grade, a 1957p, I'm actually always surprised how some of the higher grade ones, I mean, really you need like an MS66 to have a money coin. And when I say money coin, I know most people probably mean like a couple $100, but I feel like an MS66 1957, like you could probably get like $40 to $60 for, depending on the eye appeal. At least that's my experience with graded ones from PCGS. For some reason it seems like a harder. This one's kind of interesting. I don't know if it's dust, but on the tip of the wheat stalk there looks like there is like a little extra like dye chip just sticking off the tip. I'd like to see that one closer. I don't think I'd ever seen that one before. And it could just be a piece of dust. It could be a little scratch. There's like a, I don't know, like a gouge up at like 2 o'clock on the field. There's some sort of damage on the reverse of this one. No, for one of the future episodes, like I think I'm seeing like when I've been trying to pull out boxes, I've just been trying to pull out ones that are unlabeled lately, that I'll just have no idea what's in them, but I can definitely pull out ones with like, let's say like 1958D or something like that, or 1952S, so that we can specifically look for different mint marks. And I definitely have a lot of rolls I still have I used it as like my main sorting box, but it's just like a box full of coin tubes. And so I believe I pretty much have every date except for like the key dates, like with probably a full tube. Um, the end of that wheat stock is interesting. Maybe it got crushed, but it almost looks like there's like it almost looks like it could be doubled there. It looks like an odd way for it to be doubled, but I'm curious. I know I was finding a lot of ones when I was roll searching. If I could change one thing that I did about collecting these is I probably would have taken the advice that many people had given me and read the books before going through millions of coins. Um, I felt like a lot of the things that I was reading in books at the time, like most of these I was collecting like 10, 20 years ago. But people always say read the book first, but a lot of the books were there just wasn't very complete information. It was like, look for these top 10 coins, kind of like the same way that if you go on YouTube in the beginning and you're trying to find out information of the coins, it'll be like, just the top 10, the 1955 double die and the 1972 double die and a 1995 double die. It was kind of like just the same, talking about the same 10 famous coins over and over again. And so I just figured, well, I will look for those and I will look for anything else that seems interesting. And so it was kind of like, I would find out which dates were kind of more rare in circulation. You go through 5,000 bags of 5,000 count coins and you realize, okay, I'm not finding a lot of 1947 Ps in circulation. I'm not finding a lot of 1952 Ps in circulation. I'm not finding a lot of 1957. It's just like I would be making little piles, little stacks to roll into solid date rolls. And then if a coin was really, really nice, I'd usually put it in a flip instead of putting it in a solid date roll. And just kind of through the experience, I'd noticed that, some of them I weren't finding as much of them. And so then oftentimes I would try to, collect more of those ones. I'd end up buying rolls specifically of those ones. And with my roll collection, it started to feel like it was more hoarding. Like by the time you're like, every time you move your house, you've got to like move like 10, 20,000 rolls of wheat pennies. It gets intense. And since for the most part I stored the wheat pennies in like small, like, like the $25 bank boxes and stuff, it was just like me, whenever I'd move, it would be like me walking in and out of a house with like bank boxes, bank boxes, bank boxes. And I'm like, this is not safe. For the most part, I think I spent about a year just putting the rolls up on eBay, kind of doing one of each year. And I probably should have sold them off slower. I probably would have gotten a little bit more money for them, but for the most part, I was converting them into certified coins, kind of upgrading my collection. Like if I could take a roll of circulated ones and buy one kind of higher graded one that's in a higher grade condition, graded by PCGS. I found that the higher grade ones, that have been certified, they are a lot easier to sell. They're a lot easier to organize. They're a lot easier to keep price lists of. This one is pretty brown. It's like almost like black in person. This one is pretty brown as well. Kind of a red brown, but I think it would get red brown, or I'm sorry, I think it would get brown because basically it's like the only red on it is just kind of shadowing the devices. Apparently my stomach disagrees with a banana and chips as being a healthy breakfast. It's saying, no, I still want breakfast. Well, all of these, like Lincoln is just like so dark on all these, and then like I'd say about 75% of the field is just dark, and then there's like luster around it, but these ones are all some pretty dark coins. They're not horrible. They're not, I don't feel like most of these are showing like environmental damage. Maybe this one is. But it's like I feel like they are pushing, this one's got a little environmental damage. I feel like they are pushing it. I feel like they are all on a journey to turning brown. Some of them, like this one, is almost there. And this one is the last one from the box. It seems like we just had like a little spree of 1958 Ps and 1957 Ps. Now we can start looking at some of these closer up. Bring the camera down. Put on a bright light. It looks like there's a short stack of ones that we're going to check out the reverse. Let's see if I can get this non-blinding for you guys. I think this one was the one that it almost kind of looked like there was doubling. It's probably just a scratch. I don't know, it's just it's interesting, but it looks like it's, I don't know, like would that be the normal? Oh, there is like a little extra wheat stalk strands kind of sticking up out of this one. That's something I haven't really seen. And then this one has, I don't know, is the other one sharper? Yeah, the other one, it's like not an even triangle. It's like all the sides are different lengths. Well, this one I feel like would be that same shape. Perhaps it's just been cleaved or scratched or crushed. However, what is interesting, like some of the wheat lines are like not really straight here, but what's interesting on this side is that there's extra little pieces, and there's like that little rounded area. Maybe that's just a scratch. But definitely the extra little piece, which I think actually has in common with this one. We'll see if this one was just a scratch. but this one has like what appears to me to be like a little tiny die chip at the end. It's like this wheat stalk got pollinated. This side looks like maybe that's where the die chip came from, but it looks kind of like it got scratched or gouged. It seems like the lines on it are just kind of interesting. We had one more to look at the reverse. I am forgetting what we are looking for on here. I'm guessing it's probably, okay, it's just a die chip. It's like it's a little like fox or a little squirrel running down the wheat. It's got little legs. It's kind of cool. Alright, so we can pull out a pile of these. I can see if we're having trouble seeing things. I think I was trying to look at see if there was that little shelf underneath the neck on this one, and you can see there's just that extra little piece of metal. There's like a little die scratch that seems to run parallel. We saw this on the 55, we saw this on a 57, and we've seen it on a 58. Where there's just this little line, and then there's like a little extra shelf of metal underneath the neck. I don't know what that is. I feel like in Chuck's book he was talking about in some years where they kind of re-engraved around the devices, and I don't know if that's how it appears. There's like stuff moving. I think it's because the plastic, I'm putting it right up against the plastic basically. Almost looked like there was like little like coin insects like fleeing the light. There's like popping and stuff going on in there. I hadn't seen that before. Well, I've got coin mites, people. All these coins are ruined. The coin mites are here. Copper mites. So this one was pretty beat up and looked kind of cleaned, but there was just something that made me want to look at it anyway. I don't know, while I can see like kind of like the top is very thin and I feel like I can see a tiny scratch in it. It's kind of hard to see because of all the environmental damage. I mean, this is not like it's like, see how this one is, how the letters are on here? It's like I feel like that's probably what is going on in there. It does look like there is some machine doubling, however some of it also looks damaged on there. And this is the one that I thought looked squished. However, it does kind of look like there's a D to the, or like remnants of a D to the southeast. There also looks like there is kind of a double, it looks like there's a little bit of metal to the southwest as well. This one actually kind of looks hopeful. This one kind of looks like a D over D to me. I'd love to be able to get closer. Maybe I'll get on eBay and I'll get on eBay later today and order a new loop because I can't find my old loop. And that way when I'm having questions I can just kind of look at it closer. This one also looks a little bit interesting. I can't tell if that is a scratch or a notch. I can't quite get this one to really, I think the microscope is like hitting the flip and getting pushed out of its holder like in an upward direction. For some reason this one is really fighting back. You know, this one looks interesting as well. It's just I'm not getting a good angle on it. I feel like I'm not able to like focus. It may be because of all the luster. It looks interesting to me. I don't feel confident about it. I felt better about the other one. I don't feel like I've been on here so long that everything is looking doubled. I speak too soon. Some of these look interesting to me. I want ones that clearly exhibit something. I guess I'm more interested in ones that are pretty much you can see with the naked eye. It just doesn't leave like my head scratching. And the pink on here is kind of obnoxious in the aspect that like it is. Let me try straightening this out a little bit, see if we can get, that does look a little bit better, I think. I do apologize about the light, but I feel like we're able to get like flatter up against the coin. I think these are all just scratches. Really flattened 5. It's like, I think it's like a poor man's, but then like it's like flattened as well, which was just making it look ridiculous. That's why I had to take a closer look. This one had something to the east that was just kind of distracting. Oh, this is a 50D, not a 5060. I didn't even notice that we had anything from pre 50 or pre 55. I feel like that's mainly a shadow. I mean, it does kind of like appear to have something there, but it feels flat. It doesn't really feel like a raised up piece of metal. And it's just, you know, it's interesting because like the date is so dark, and then around it, I'm not sure if this one had been cleaned. Doesn't look horrible. Looks kind of toned. If you guys disagree with anything that I'm saying, always feel free to speak up. I am not the ultimate expert here. I do not claim to be a professional. I'm just doing my best and trying to learn. Some pretty colors. I'm trying not to look at them, I'm trying to look at the mint mark. I don't know, it's like I feel like I see like a clear line going down the center of the D. In most angles, but it does seem to like it disappears. Now this one just looks like dark brown, you know, with some, I couldn't even see the luster on this coin until I got, or the toning until I got like right up on it. This is kind of funny. Yeah. It's amazing how a bunch of bright colors can look brown, but then upon closer inspection, it's like, is that something inside the D, or is that just crud? The reason I want to think it's crud is that it feels like it's not straight, like a straight line. It just kind of looks like it's like little chunks, like little teeny chunks of things. And also it's just, when you look at the date here, the date just has shadows on both sides. It's just super, super, super dark. It's like I want to say that there is like a little extra piece of metal on the edge there, but at the same time it looks like it's probably been scratched. It's like I feel like a little bit of the D itself is missing, kind of like the 6 is missing like a bunch of the 6 there. I feel like the same thing is happening to the mint mark, which I'm not sure if that makes sense. This one looks like it is full of crud. Full of crud, folks. You saw it here first. It's interesting, I feel like with every single flip I'm having to adjust the light and refocus. I'm just seeing kind of dirtiness there. There's a piece of dust right over the place I'm trying to look. So it looks like the 8 is partially filled. I mean, it kind of looks like there is a line there, but it also looks like the line, whatever I'm looking at, it reflects, and it almost looks like there's like a little tiny piece of hair or dust. Like, to me it looks like there is like some crud in the mint mark, and then there's like a little hair or piece of dust over that, and the two of them are trying to make it look like there is extra metal where there's not. The mint mark does have like kind of like a weird crescent shape. But I'm not feeling convinced. I'm looking for that one we found earlier. So this is the one we found yesterday, and it's like this one, it's like I don't feel like I'm having to imagine anything. Like I feel like I'm seeing an S over an S. And actually, while I do this, okay, cool. Yeah, I can take photos. So I just took a photo of this one. I'm going to try to go and look at some different varieties of 1955 S over S RPM. And I think that is what I'll try to do, and I'll try to educate myself. And I feel like this is one that if I see again, and I know what it is, I'm going to be able to ingrain it into my head, having the experience of finding one, and then having the experience of going and looking it up. I feel like it'll actually stick in my head. But definitely love to know what your guys' thoughts are on it. If you guys think you guys have seen this one before. To me, and I don't know 100% if with major and minor RPMs, it's like, to me, a major RPM would be one that you can see easily, that under a specific amount of magnification or with the naked eye you can spot with your naked eye, while a minor I feel like would require much more magnification. It would require more experience to like look for them. Perhaps I'm completely wrong here. Perhaps the majors are ones that are very, very rare and very hard to find, and has nothing to do with how easy they are to spot. But in my head, the major ones would be like, these are some of the best, and they're the best of the best because anybody can easily see and identify them. Perhaps it's a mixture of both. It's a smattering of both. What is the condition of this coin anyway? And after I do this, I need to write, once I look it up, I need to write what I think it is. Okay, so we got the light on here, so it's going to give us kind of like a false, get some focus going on. Okay, so this one looks like kind of, I don't know, like extra fine. It's kind of brown. Looks like there's wear to the cheek and forehead and chin. I'm guessing that there's probably some sort of damage on it somewhere, other than just the wear. Looks like the wheat ears are pretty smooth. Maybe this wouldn't even get extra fine. But I'm sure probably for this coin there, and you can see it here. You can definitely see it. Like it sticks out pretty well. And I'm not honestly sure if that's what I saw, or if it was like to the right of the 4, there just looks like almost like there's extra metal there. Maybe it was a combination of both. Maybe I thought that there was crud in the S. But I definitely know that if I see something that looks like this, it kind of reminds me of like two like medical snakes kind of intertwined, or like almost looks like a little snake with its mouth open. It's the snake serif S. So I'm going to end the stream here. I will not be having a stream later today as far as I know, and I'm not going to have a stream tomorrow. I might upload a quick video, but my next stream unfortunately is not going to be till Wednesday. That's why I tried to do so many extra streams this weekend for you guys, is just so that you guys would have some things to watch if you had time. I will be back Wednesday night, I believe, for a couple hours, and I will not be here Thursday, and I will be back Friday night. So instead of early morning streams, everything kind of got pushed back to only being able to do it later. But this weekend upcoming, I should have a ton of open time. Maybe I can finally do one of the 12-hour streams I've wanted to, even though I'm sure by the end of the 12-hour streams, I'm going to think I'm rich after finding 100 double dies, because I'm going to be seeing double. But we should have a pretty good weekend, and then next week everything's going to be back to normal, where I'll be at a stream for a couple hours in the morning, 5 days a week, and we'll be at a stream the weekend as well, and probably some like Wednesday night streams as well. So I'm working on slowly trying to be able to get more. It's just had some stuff planned for this President's Week, and have to figure out how to do this in the future. Maybe I'll record a bunch of videos and then have them uploaded, just to keep stuff coming out there on a consistent basis. But thank you guys all for watching. I wish you guys beautiful, beautiful days. I'm gonna get to it here, and I'll see you guys in the future. Thank you guys so much for the watching. Alright, until next time, see you in the future all.